Okay, in this video what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some interaction to our bouncy balls. Specifically what we're going to do is add the ability to create more balls just by clicking on the screen. So in order to do this we need to set up some variables first in our in our main window class, and that's just going to be tracking where the mouse is at the moment. So we set up two doubles called mouse X and mouse Y. Okay. Now in our main window in the XAML, what we need to do is in the canvas we're going to set up a whole load of events. Okay. So make sure I've clicked on the canvas, and I can see here it's definitely the canvas, ball canvas, and then click on the lightning strike. Okay, now this is one of these areas where we saw earlier on there's loads and loads and loads of different events available, and we're going to use some of those. Okay, we're going to use a lot of those. So there's lots here for the mouse. Okay, there's mouse down, things like that, mouse up, but we want to use specific ones that will identify the left and right buttons, because eventually we want to build more interaction using the right button. So we specifically want left mouse down, left mouse up. We also want mouse move, and that detects any time the mouse is going to move. We also want the mouse wheel, okay, and that detects if the mouse wheel has been changed. So yeah, we want events in all of those. So the best way of doing that is just, again, we just go to this box and we just double click on it, and then it will automatically create a handler for us. Then need to go back and do the same for button up, go back, do the same for mouse move, and then go back and do the same for mouse wheel. There we go, I've got 4 new ones. Now the simplest one is mouse move. Now you get a mouse event args is passed in, and that will contain the position of the mouse. So basically use this anytime this is called. I'm going to update my mouse X and my mouse Y. It's E dot need to remember exactly which one it is. Is it device? No, that's not it. Get position. There we go. It's actually a function, not a property. That's how I can see it. So get position will return a point as an object, and the point is then made up of an X and a Y. And then mouse Y equals E dot get position dot Y. So yeah, that basically, as it's moving around, it's constantly updating the X and the Y positions. Now it's giving me an error. Oh yeah, I've got to specify what element I want this based on, because it's so if you think if your application's running in the middle of the screen, you don't want the X and the Y based on the entire window screen. You want it just based on not even just your application window, but just the UI element that you're doing off of. And we're doing it off our canvas, so we need to make it relevant to our ball canvas. I feel there should probably be an overload of get position where you don't have to pass that in, where it'll just assume that it's going to be the object that has raised it, but it doesn't. So we have to pass it in. So now that's given us the X and the Y position. Okay. What we also want is we do want to set up another boolean here, and we're going to call that create balls. Set that to false to begin with. Okay, and that is going to be something that is going to allow me in my update balls to decide whether or not I'm going to be creating balls. And then in there I'm going to generate my new balls. And that means all my left button down does is it sets creating balls to true. And all my mouse button up does is it sets creating balls to false. So again, a little bit like the start stop button, all this is doing is it's basically raising a flag to decide whether or not something is going to happen, and that something is happening every second as we're going along. So if I go in here, we're doing the if creating balls. In there, I would then call a function to create, and this is why I did I'll call a function to create the ball, and then I'd also call a function to update the slider, and that's why I created my update ball label. Okay. However, there's something else I want to do, and that is I want to create a diameter. So let's call it create ball diameter. Let's give it a starting value, I don't know, 10 maybe. Okay. Then what I want to do, where's my other one down here? Like my mouse wheel, what I want to do is I want to, as I'm moving my mouse wheel up and down, I want to use that to change that diameter, make it bigger or make it smaller. Not so it goes below a certain amount, or I don't want to go less than probably 5 maybe, and I don't want to go greater than 100. So the mouse wheel event args is, if I remember rightly, so what I'm going to do is create ball diameter plus equals, and I'm going to get something out of this that will tell me the distance it's moved, the delta. But the delta, what is that based on? The amount the wheels change. If I just positive and rotate in upward direction away from the user. Possibly that's all I need to do. For some reason I thought this was going to come out as either as degrees or radians, is what I seem to remember it was. I'm just going to check, is there anything else here, because that might just... No. Okay, we'll give that a try. And that might make this very easy then, actually. What they want to do is just make sure it doesn't go below a certain amount. So if create ball diameter is less than 5, then say it's going to be equal to 5. And if create ball diameter is greater than, say, 100, then create ball diameter equals 100. So that's just that's our safety brakes to make sure it doesn't go above or below a certain amount. I mean, I've put an absolute value there in a 5 and 100. I feel that should be a parameter somewhere. And if I was doing this as a more robust program, I would never put absolute values like this into a program. You always try and put them as variables, which can be changed through some interaction. So I think we've got everything in place. So now we want to add a ball to the world. The world dot add ball, and if I remember rightly, I have one for I give it a certain position. Yeah, I already set it up, a diameter in a certain position. So I create ball diameter, comma mouse x, comma mouse y. Add one to the slider. What do I call it? Ball number slider dot value plus equals 1, and then as I've already set this function up, what do I call it? Update ball label. That will update the label based on the value of the slider, which I've just increased. Where is it? So let's give this a try. It should allow me to start generating balls just by having a mouse, just by putting the mouse down, clicking the button, and as I hold the button, the balls will be generated. And as soon as I let go of the button, it will stop generating balls. So let's give that a try. So click start and boom, there we go. Okay, interesting. It's not stopped. I did stop now, but it was creating other balls. Okay, let's see if change. Yeah, at least that worked. Ooh, they got very big all of a sudden. Okay, so they're really small or really big. So I'm assuming that it is the value of that delta is actually quite huge. So I might need to go into that and change that. I'm also wondering why is it creating a load of extra other random balls. So let me just close that and we'll go have a look at delta first of all. I did think delta was doing something strange, or that it did something, you know, not saying. I think the delta itself is the number of degrees. So let's run that again and capture that. So I'm just going to move one click up. So it's just one click and the delta is 120. Okay, so in reality I probably want to divide that by 100. Okay, let's take that away, try again. That should allow me to, I don't need to compile it, it's because it's running it through Visual Studio, it should keep that in place. So let's now, there we go, as I'm moving it up, it's moving at a much more sedate pace. Okay, so that's fixed one bug. Why is it creating a load of other ones though? So let's have a look in my create balls. Oh, I know why. Because every time I increment that by one, that is calls. So yeah, by changing that here, I actually call that here. Okay. So what I want to do is I possibly want to create a little another little boolean to I don't know, what do I call this one? Don't create balls from slider. I can't make this any more clear as to what this is supposed to be. Don't create balls from slider. Set that to false as well, and effectively, before I update this, this is a hack. This is a pure hack. It was up here, wasn't it? So before I do that, then just set don't create balls from slider to be equal to true. This seems like a really long name for a variable, I know, but it says exactly what it says in the tin, and once you've typed it in once, because of the really good IntelliSense, it'll pick it up again straight away. So what I'm going to do is, even if the world is not null, I'm going to check if don't create balls from slider, and then all of this is going to go inside the else of that. And then I will put don't create balls from slider equals So, I mean, as I'm keeping my finger down, that's going to be going true, false, true, false, true, false. But it means that when I finish, it will come out on false. It does call update ball label there, which theoretically means I don't have to call it there. Let me just comment it out and make sure I'm correct on that. Okay, let's start that now, and now it's only creating the balls where I want them yet, and it's updating the ball slider there. And there we go. I'm now creating balls just by clicking down on the button. I'm creating them wherever the mouse is. That's because I set it to 3, didn't I? And I've only creating one ball at the top, so that's why that's crashing. So that's that update finished. And just so I don't get that crash again, I'm going to set this back to what I had at the start, where you get 3 starting balls, not the not that test one that I had from the last video. So now I can add balls just by clicking on the screen, and as long as I keep my left mouse button down, it will add balls at that position. Okay, in the next video I am going to look to add walls dynamically, and that's when it starts to get really interesting.